people who got 6.
You would see the people like me.
I moved class, I don't know what to do with it. And yeah, I beg you don't turn the camera on. That's just crazy. Why is he still in the Jubilee Ground? Guys, it's 7 o'clock, bro. You can go back.
Can you turn off your sound, by the way? Can hear you. And just because I've literally got back from fixture, so that's why. Turn off your sound.
Who's Steve Avery? Someone who doesn't know how to tell.
Can you turn off your sound, whoever that is, please? Can hear you commentating. Okay, I'll give it a couple more minutes just for people to arrive. Okay, almost there. Okay, I'll start now, and I'll just start by doing some basic introductions, whilst I'm sure there'll be still some more people arriving, so bear with me just whilst I go through and let them in. Firstly, thank you for joining us this evening. I know there's a lot going on at the moment. There's loads of people who would normally be on this call watching Nemo just in the production in the Jubilee grounds. So I know there'll be a lot of people watching this back as well. So I press record, and if you guys want to go back and watch this at any time, then feel free to do that as well. It's quite useful. There's going to be a lot of information tonight. We go some more coming in. So firstly, I'm Mr. Corbin O'Grady. Lots of you know me already. Hopefully, are on the hockey and the cricket, and I'm leading this trip. So we led one to Barcelona last October, decided it went really well. So we're going to lead one to Barcelona this October as well. But those are for sort of juniors. So for you guys, which people who will be in year 10 to year 13 as of next academic year, we wanted to give you something really quite special. So that's why we're going to go through what's going on tonight. Steve is on the screen as well. Okay, so Steve is a representative of a tour company outside of school. So those of you who don't know how this works, I don't sit down and book all the flights and book all the hotels and book the safari and all that sort of stuff. That's all done through Steve, because these guys are the experts. I'll hand over in a second for him to talk and introduce himself properly. But that's the face that you won't recognise on the screen, because none of you will have seen him at all yet, unless you're a parent of someone who was looking for, or who's interested in the October half-term Barcelona one for one of the younger year groups. You may see Mr. Riseborough flash up in here as well, who's our Director of Sport. Lots of you should know him as well. And then I think Mr. Gower is in at Nemo at the moment, but he's another person responsible for organising this trip as Deputy Head Co-Curricular. So that seems like a good time to pass over to you, Steve, if you want to just say a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much, and welcome everyone. Thank you for your time tonight. Just a little background for me. I've been in the industry for nearly 20 years now, organising these tours. I have worked with St Dunstan's College in the past, where I did hockey and football tours to Holland many years ago, and we also did a rugby tour to South Africa with Mr. Woodward, going back probably 5 or 6 years now. So I know the school well. I've worked with you guys before. We are doing the hockey tour to Barcelona in October. But as a company, Living with the Lions, just for the parents' perspective more than anything, we've been going over 20 years. We are fully financially protected, so we hold our sort of APTRA and ATOL licenses. And we're also members of the School Travel Forum. And basically what that means is every element of the package has to be independently health and safety checked for us to offer it. So yes, we want the guys to go out there and have fun and really enjoy it, and create memories for life, but at the same time, safety is paramount. So we do a lot of work behind the scenes to get that safety accreditation in place. So we do like to shout about it because there's a lot of sports travel companies out there like us, and not many of them have that accreditation. So it's really reassuring for you as a parents that safety is paramount on these trips. But just last thing from me before I pass back is sort of the one thing that we always talk about when we're doing these tours, why tour? And it's about creating memories for life. It's giving these boys and girls the opportunity to go and play sport overseas in someone else's backyard, to really test themselves. Sport in South Africa is very, very strong. So they will be tested when they're out there. So it's a great experience to go away without mum and dad, to go away with their friends, with their teammates, create that sort of team bonding. But it's also about those memories. And when these guys get together with their friends in 10, 20 years time, when they've left school, these are the sort of trips that they'll talk about. And it's the memories that they'll create from this. And you'll see as we talk through the evening about what's included and the itinerary it's a fantastic trip. So it'll be an amazing experience for them. But yeah, save any questions for the end, and then we'll go through sort of some questions together. But hopefully we can answer everything that you want to ask tonight, and make sure that you're all happy for the boys or girls to go on the trip.
Okay, thank you for that. And sorry, there's one other person that I should mention as well, who's Mr. Drawbridge, who lots of you will know, who's the new head of trips and sort of adventurous activities. So would have been heavily involved with planning and the delivery of Adventure Week, as well as all trips and everything moving forward. So somebody that you will also recognise the name of on the screen. Thanks for that, Steve. So kind of how tonight's going to work, I will try to not go on and on and on. I'll try to be quite concise, but I will just explain the rationale behind this first. And Steve's already touched on that a little bit. And then we'll go into sort of expected number of places, because I know that'll be an FAQ. And then we'll work through the itinerary as well. So I'll share my screen in a minute, and we'll look at the first draft of what we're looking for and what the trip will look like. So the rationale, so the idea, the reason for why we are running a trip like this. So this is, for everybody involved, a life-changing trip, and I really don't say that lightly. I never got to go on one as a student. I went on one with my previous school to South Africa, similar trip, but not quite as many places and things that we did, because we were involved in a big hockey contest, so we did a little bit more hockey. But I can honestly say it was a life-changing trip for me. So I was just one of the teachers on it, let alone one of the kids. So we wanted to do a long haul tour for you for this sort of group of the age group within the school. We thought that we really wanted to reflect how well you've been doing, and where we think the sport's going to go. We wanted to give you a high performance sports tour. There were a couple of different options. We thought about taking you to the east coast of America, so sort of like near New York, but that trip only really shows you college sport. So it shows you sort of high end college sport, go in nice gyms, train on nice facilities, stuff like that. But really, in America is obviously significantly different to us, but I would argue South Africa is probably more of a different experience for a lot of people on this call. So we wanted to give, because it's such a lot of money, we wanted to obviously touch high performance sport, but we also wanted to give you guys something which will genuinely change your life. So that's kind of what we're going for, and I hope that'll come across tonight. Just a comment on that as well. I know it is expensive. This is actually come in £700 cheaper than when I did it with my previous school 6 years ago. So thank you to Steve for your work on that. So I've talked about the performance sport. We really want to take you away, and we want to get you into the mindset of performance sport. So it's early-ish wake-ups, it's early-ish beds, it's going for walks before training. It'll be performance reviews. It'll be some video analysis. We're playing 3 fixtures against high quality opposition, which is going to be matched accordingly to how we are shaping up and the group that we get going abroad. And yeah, we want kind of everything about it to be high performance. And that's the aim with Barcelona as well. And it's the aim with this one. As Steve said, these are the stories. Even when I meet up with my teacher friends, my previous people, colleagues, people I used to work with, we still talk about some of this trip to South Africa, and some of the moments that you guys will have a look at or will come out of this itinerary as well. So I think without further ado, let's share the screen. And Steve, can you just tell me if this is working or not? Just share this window.
Can you just check the recording? Because it says on the screen recording has stopped.
Yeah, and then it's also ticking away. So
all right, fair enough.
Yeah, it should, I think, be okay. But thank you for that. I'll do another one if I need to. Steve, have you got the itinerary on the screen?
Nothing. There it is. Yes, just come up.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I agree. I saw the recording stopped, but we've now got 11:19. I tried to restart it, and I think it's okay. If not, I'll do another one for everyone else who misses out. Okay, let me just hide Steve's face here. Right. So this is the overview, okay, and I'll sort of go through it day by day. But as we're sort of greeted already, those of you who know South Africa will know this sort of scenery. So really, really excited to obviously have incredible scenery, beaches and everything, which is an amazing part of it as well. I'll rattle through this, and then Steve, if you want to pick up anything, just jump in wherever you want to pick up stuff. I've sort of written some key things I want to hit on each slide, and then, like I say, we'll open up the floor later on to some questions. Overnight travel, so flying from Heathrow, and I'd imagine that'll probably be an early-ish morning flight. Just a note on that, as a college policy, we always have, sorry, let me just admit this person into the lobby. We always, our policy is that the students are responsible for getting themselves to the airport. Now, why that might seem quite annoying, I'll explain the rationale for that now. The rationale is that I've worked at a previous school where we organised a coach for them, and then the coach broke down, and we had 50 people scrambling at 3 a.m. in Bruton, which is a town of 3,000 in Somerset, to try and get cabs to the airport at 3 a.m. on a random Monday. We managed it, but it was not fun. So that is sort of the rationale behind that. I'm perfectly happy to go through with other people if you want to talk more about it. Generally, we always say try and get yourselves there of your own account. The flip side of that as well, the positive side of that is that parents, family members, whoever will be dropping off at the airport, you get your chance to bring their massive, suitcase, because they're going to go away for 2 weeks with sports equipment. So take that with you, wave them goodbye, and enjoy 10 days without your loved one. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, that's the sort of real positive of that as well. When we did it last year for Barcelona, we had a lot of parents stay overnight because we had an early flight. So they just got hotels within Heathrow or Gatwick, which works really, really well. Or we just had one or so of the parents or a couple of the parents drive bigger cars over, which was really, really useful. But yeah, hoping to never repeat that scramble that we had. We did manage to get the flight, but it was chaos. Right, that's all I need to say on the first flight.
Sorry, Mr. Corbin O'Grady. I've just noticed on the right, it does say 2024, but the dates are July 25. So do ignore that 24. It is based on the same dates, sort of 19th of July, 2025.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great. So here's just some kind of the trips that Living with the Lions, the tour company Steve is the representative of, they've run. So lots of rugby, lots of hockey, and just to give you an idea of what one of your children might be sat in those seats. Day 2, so we go to Stellenbosch. So apologies if lots of you know South Africa well, but Stellenbosch is a few hours away from Cape Town. It is the perfect area to decompress from the flight, because even though the flight is only, the time difference is only +2. Last time I went, it might change slightly, but the time difference is almost nothing, which makes contacting home really easy, actually, which is great. It's obviously a very, very long way to travel. So last time, not that it's important, we stopped in Doha or Dubai or somewhere, or Saudi, I can't remember where it was, but somewhere in there before carrying on. It is a long flight, and this is kind of just decompress and get used to not the time difference, but just catch up on the sleep and stuff like that. Also, a note on this slide was that when I ran a pretty similar trip for my previous school, a lot of the parents actually came with us. Didn't stay in obviously any of the same hotels or anything like that. They're on holiday, and a lot of them were really interested in the middle picture and the one on the right, which is all vineyards and wineries. South Africa and Stellenbosch is really known for that. Beaches, good food. So, you know, if you want to come and make a family holiday of it, which I know is very expensive, but if people in the past have done that, so if that is something that you are interested in, then it is a really good one to do. And then obviously there's enough fixtures and stuff to enjoy. So that is a note on that. Yeah, self-led training session. Last time we did it at Stellenbosch University, which was fantastic. Facilities, but yeah, that's all just kind of decompress, get a light training session done, and settle in. Day 3. So part of the theme of this trip as well is displaying the wildlife that's on offer. Wildlife's maybe the wrong term here because it's a sanctuary, but this is incredible. Like when we go to South Africa, we will see some amazing animals that we would never have an opportunity to see here unless we were in a zoo or Longleat or something like that. So Cheetah Sanctuary. Now, from experience, that isn't just cheetahs. It probably will be lions and tigers and stuff like that as well. They'll all be rescued animals. Last time we were there was a very anorexic tiger, very underweight tiger that had been rescued from a zoo which had just been left in Argentina, and it was only being kept alive by people feeding it, like McDonald's and stuff, anything that they could get hold of it. So that was in recovery. So we saw a tiger, which was really cool as well. But yeah, that's just a chance to kind of tick off some of those incredible big cats and get ready for match day. So match day 1 is here. One of the reasons Steve's involved and the tour company are involved is because, as you can imagine, it's very hard for someone like us over here who don't have a working ground knowledge, to match up appropriate levels of fixtures. So that's part of why we went with Steve as a tour company, is they've got a very good reputation and history of matching these fixtures appropriately. So we're hoping for always a competitive game either way, as we build all of our fixture programs here at St Dunstan's as well. Dinner served with the host, nothing more to mention there. But things like this is just everywhere in South Africa. When we're in Cape Town, almost every view you've got a view of Table Mountain in the background. We went to some incredible astroturfs, and you just get this amazing light and amazing colours. So those are the things that I wanted to talk about for there. Right, day 4. So this is Cape Town, or where we arrive in Cape Town. You'll see that Table Mountain is the first thing that we tried to do there. That's because we're going into winter in South Africa. So obviously Southern Hemisphere, even though it's 19th of July, it will be winter. Generally, last time I went, and generally you still have pretty sunny days, or kind of sunny overcast days, sort of 20 degrees or between, I don't know, whatever it is, somewhere around there, maybe a bit lower. The evenings are cold, so something to think about later on, especially with the game drives that I'll talk about later on. The reason for doing Table Mountain so early is that if there's heavy cloud cover, if you get up there, one, they might not be running the cable car up there anyway, but if it's really heavy weather. 2, you won't be able to see anything. And the middle picture here, I would say, that's fairly clear. There's always going to be a little bit of a blanket around Table Mountain. It's very common for it to look more like the picture on the right. However, last time I was up there, bright blue skies, and you can see for miles and miles and miles, and it is a really special moment. That's obviously Table Mountain there on the left. Steve, you've popped up. Did you want to add anything there?
Yeah, it was just to sort of reiterate what you're saying, and the good thing with Table Mountain is it's flexible in terms of if the cloud cover is there, we can rebook it for later in the week. So that's why we try and do it at the start, because there is that flexibility to move it. Because as Mr. Corbin O'Grady said, there's no point going up there if it is really thick clouds. So there is that flexibility in the itinerary, which is just reassuring that we don't want the kids getting there on the first day, the cloud cover being up and saying you can't go up it, and then thinking they can't do it at all. So there is that reassurance that we will certainly try and get it moved in later in the itinerary in the other days. And that's why the itinerary is flexible, because we may sort of swap an excursion in order to suit that. So, but there's flexibility around it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Steve. Yeah. And then you'll notice, so here, dinner at the waterfront, own expense. I'll talk about this in a second. The waterfront of Cape Town is also really incredible. So that's great. There will be some time where the kids can go shopping and stuff. It's all incredibly safe, and give them very clear timelines, and they have to go around in threes and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's really, really good fun. Own expense. So all of the money that we've quoted for this, I've obviously provided a bit of a buffer in there to do things to pick pick up the bill for some of these dinners, so that we're trying to include the whole cost from the start, and then not say, okay, it's this amount of money, but also you need to bring £800 worth of cash. That's not the case. So yes, definitely there will be a need for some spending money, and some children will spend more or less than others. I'll talk about that later on. But the eagle-eyed people will start seeing this pop up every now and then, and just take it with a pinch of salt. That's lots of these I will have thought that's going to be included within that. A lot of the time, that's because we'll get group discounts if we book early and stuff like that. So it's not like we go in and everybody gets their own meals. We'll cover all of that. So where are we now? Okay. Day 5. So this is the full day Peninsula tour. This is pretty incredible. So from what I can remember, we go to something like the most southern point of South Africa, or it's a cape. So Cape Point. I can't remember the exact bit. Steve will jump in a minute. The scenery on the way there is absolutely staggering. So this sort of right-hand picture here will be on a coach right on the edge of that. Don't worry, it is a much bigger road than it looks, but you get this incredible scenery. So really, really good chance to take some pictures, stop and enjoy some of the incredible coast there. You'll notice there's a little penguin here. So seems a little bit counterintuitive that South Africa has penguins. It does. They're the cute little sort of penguins, about a foot tall, and I can't remember the name of the penguins. Someone will correct me. Maybe African penguins or something. There you go, African penguins. And that's Boulders Beach. And with that, there'll inevitably be some seals around and stuff like that. So we like to go and see those penguins. Please be prepared that it is one of the smelliest things you'll ever encounter, but it is quite cool, and obviously good to see the penguins. Going through some of the national park and stuff like that as well. To give an idea for those of people who haven't really been to Africa or maybe South Africa before, last time I was here, there were just baboons wandering around. There was a whole troop of baboons, which we had to actually stay away from a bit because they're a bit aggressive. But there's just wildlife everywhere. And it wouldn't be uncommon to, see sharks and whales and stuff, or at least hear of the sightings of them. Last time we were there, they were going out killer whale watching or something, which was pretty cool. Anything else I need to talk about there? Steve, do you want to jump in? No? Happy?
No, I think you covered it. You mentioned about the seals. There's normally a short boat trip out to Duiker Island, which is where all the seals sort of stay on. But as you say, it's the Cape Point, which is a great place to get a team shot down there in front of the sign. It's sort of pretty iconic with the area. And as you say, that road, Chapman's Peak Drive, is the sort of road that you head back to Cape Town at the end of the day. And it's some of the most beautiful scenery I think I've ever seen and I've been very fortunate to travel well. So it's, again, lots of chance to get photos with your mates, team photos, individual selfies, all that sort of stuff. There'll be breathtaking scenery all day that day.
Thank you for that. Okay, Cape Town. So day 6. So V&A Waterfront again. Going to Robben Island. So Robben Island, for those of you who know anything about African history, South African history, is where Nelson Mandela spent many years in prison. This is, again, one of the main reasons we chose. Sorry, let me just let this person in. One of the main reasons we chose a destination like this. It is just steeped in culture, history, wildlife, sport. There's everything. The trip to Robben Island was moving, to say the least. The last time I went, and I'm really excited to go back, having read some of the history now. I hadn't done anything like that before. I hadn't watched any of the movies that Steve might be able to recommend in a minute. Is it Long Walk to Freedom and Invictus? No, go on, jump in.
Yeah, Invictus. That's
Invictus.
Although it's rugby, I think it's important for anyone to watch.
Exactly, and they're fantastic movies as well. But please do that to make the most of the time there. It is really, really incredible. Sorry, more people coming in. It is really incredible, and we'll spend some time there, and sort of enough kind of said on that. It's pretty breathtaking. Match day 2. So against another local opposition, fairly self-explanatory again. Also on the ferry trip to Robben Island, we saw dolphins last time, so there's all just wildlife around, which was quite cool. Then we go up to Pretoria. So this is why this trip is kind of split across 3 sort of areas. So we arrive in Stellenbosch. We go to Stellenbosch, then spend some time in Cape Town. Then we go to Pretoria, kind of flying to Joburg and end up in Pretoria. Again, the reason for moving around a bit is that this trip is expensive. We want to get as much of South Africa seen as possible. So yeah, we want to get as much of this of South Africa, seen as possible. So we're going to move up to Pretoria. I've never been to Pretoria, so I can't speak in as much detail on this, but there's some incredible pictures there. So something for obviously you guys to enjoy. And this is really just a travel day here to get up to there. Steve, do you want to jump in there, or should we carry on? Fine. Okay. Great. So one of the main reasons of going to Pretoria is, and one of the best things we did on my previous trip was go to a township. For those of you who don't know what that is, it is a massive area, usually of temporary housing. So sort of corrugated iron, makeshift houses a lot of the time. We went to one in Cape Town, which is called Langa, one of the biggest ones. We felt that it was really impactful, but lots of it is also now starting to be redeveloped. Soweto isn't yet, so we wanted to go into Soweto, go for a guided tour, and that again is really, really incredible. To meet the people, they're so happy, incredibly poor. And it sort of is a really good grounder to everybody who lives in the UK, especially the people on this trip as well, who are lucky enough to travel and experience new places. That life is not as easy for some people, but they still make the absolute most of it and have an incredibly rich culture, and it's really, really worth us going. So last time we went, the kids all coached. Our children all coach loads and loads of different hockey and football, to the township kids. We also donated loads and loads of equipment as well to them, which was pretty cool. And yeah, it was amazing. So here, match day against local opposition. Again, don't need to sort of dwell too much on that. It's a match day, but that would be our final match day there. Day 9, Pretoria. So again, we're trying to obviously pick up some of the themes of South African history by going to the Apartheid Museum. Again, I've not been to this, but everyone I've spoken to has said it's incredible and worth a trip to South Africa alone anyway. So we'll visit there, and that will be quite a serious morning, obviously, a grounding morning. So in the afternoon, to sort of enjoy the afternoon and build everyone back up again, we're going to be going to a theme park, which will sound will be really good fun as well. But yeah, Apartheid will be an amazing experience. I'm really excited to go to that museum, and then obviously the theme park will be a good chance for everybody to sort of let their hair down, digest what we've talked about, or what we've learned, and yeah, that seems like a good place to do that. Next, okay, day 10.
Those two are literally on the same car park as well, so it's not like you've got to travel. You'll literally walk out of the Apartheid Museum and you walk across the car park and you're in the theme park. So it's no time on the bus. It's go and enjoy the day and maximize the time in the theme park in the afternoon.
And I don't know if this was done because of that. I haven't thought about this before, but South Africa obviously has had a difficult history. And they do tend to sort of juxtapose and really embrace the history that they have. So I can't think that it was any less than planned to have the Apartheid Museum right next to a theme park, because when we meet the people there, it is about embracing life's difficulties, but also celebrating everything that is amazing in life. So I can't imagine that was a mistake that they put that there. And yeah, the people we will meet will be really quite inspirational. Okay, day 10. So one of the absolute things we have to do before we get to, when we get to South Africa and when we're in the trip, is we have to go to the game reserve. I haven't been to this one before. This comes incredibly highly recommended from Steve, and from all the trips that he's run there. The one that I went to previously near Cape Town was called a Killer. It was great, but it was only 10,000 acres, which sounds like a lot, but for wild animals, it's not loads. So it was great because you were pretty much guaranteed to see everything. But it wasn't very representative of what the national parks can look like. So yeah, and sort of lots of you will have been maybe on safari before, and how it works is you'll go out in your van or whatever, you go out in the bus, and then the rangers will get onto each other and say, hippos are over here, come and see them. Whatever, rhinos are over here, giraffes, elephants, lions if we're lucky, leopards if you're incredibly lucky. But that is very unlikely to happen because no one sees a leopard. Yeah, I think the expression was you only see a leopard when it's too late, or you only know about a leopard until it was too late, or something like that I've heard from the South African guys in the past. But yeah, that is going to be pretty incredible. So we've gone for something that's a bit bigger, a bit more realistic, and we will have the kind of hunt or the thrill of the hunt to try and find that animal, not hunt it, but view it. So yeah, and then I missed a part there. There's a just above that, the canopy tour, which is like a zip line. Steve, you might have to talk a bit more about that, but I remember you saying that's very, very worth doing. Do you want to jump in on that?
There's a number of zip lines sort of through the mountain ranges, so it's really good fun experience. Get some high speed zip lines. I think from memory there's about 12 or 13 different zip lines that you go on. You sort of can get to do the first couple. I've not done this one. I've done the one in Cape Town, but the one in Cape Town, which is the same company in essence, but you're able to do the first 2 zip lines. And if you wanted to get off and head back to base camp, you could, but if you wanted to carry on, there's no problem. But once you go on to zip line 3, there was no turning back, because sort of the way it's all set up through the mountains, there's nowhere to get off. So it's really good fun. And if you YouTube it and look at the videos on there, you'll be able to see some amazing shots of the zip lines from that one up there up in the north. But as Mr. Corbin O'Grady said about the game reserve, the reason we've come up north not only to see more of South Africa, it's because from my experience, I've been doing this a long time, is that the game drives up north are a much better experience. And as we said, the one at Aquila is great. If you've never been to a game drive, you'll get to see the animals. It's fantastic. I've been very fortunate that I've done 3 different game drives at different parks, and up north it's just a much more fun, better experience going out in the jeeps, looking for those animals. And I was one of those few that was very fortunate to see a leopard one day. We caught them stalking a springbok, and just to sit there and watch it, we stopped there for about an hour just watching it stalk and hunt the springbok was just an incredible experience, which you're not going to get at the smaller game reserves down south. So that was another reason for bringing you up north, to see a little bit more and give you what I would believe is the best experience that we can.
Yeah, thank you for that. And this sort of touched on what I was talking about at the start, where I was saying this is a life-changing trip. And why I say that is, most abroad trips or most international tours where children are away from their caregivers, parents, families, whatever, is that you then get challenged in a totally different way. So it's a lot of facing fears. It's a lot of life skills, like even the canopy tour there, as Steve said, like, people will be scared going up that will be tall. But those are little things, making yourself uncomfortable and pushing through it, which are really, really important life skills. And I'll talk a bit more, I'll talk a little bit more around kind of how that ties into high level sport a little bit later on. But just imagine, all the like punctuality deadlines that we're going to have to hit, getting to meet times early. We did that all in Barcelona. If any of you went on the trip to Barcelona, you couldn't be late, and if you were, there was punishments. We had different rewards for different groups and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, that'll be really, really good fun. With this, the final bit here, final tour dinner in safari surroundings. Now, how I imagine this is that we will probably all be sat around a fire pit, like a massive South African fire pit, usually built down into the ground. This is what happened last time when I did this. And this will be a chance for us to do our tour awards. So like I was just alluding to there, where we had rewards and prizes for people who were great or did fun stuff or whatever, or were fantastic in the games. We would then present and spend some time sort of recounting the incredible things that have happened. It is just an incredibly beautiful place. And like last time I was out in the safari parks, which, as you all know, as you could imagine, are out in the middle of nowhere where there's no light pollution. The stars that you see are incredible. I spent an hour with one of the guides just looking through a telescope at Saturn with its rings. And all the kids loved that, and you could even see it moving with the rotation of the Earth. And it is pretty incredible as well. Final things, one more game drive before breakfast, so we'll sort of fit that in. So if we don't see anything Saturday night, not Saturday night, whatever that is, the previous night, which is a possibility but a slim one, there's also another game drive in the morning, which again will target slightly different animals. Lots of these animals are going to be hunting at those times as well. So yeah, you sort of see different animals come out and about. But a note on that, it is freezing, like, sub-zero temperatures. So one jacket's not enough. Make sure we prepare properly for that. And then we're coming home. There's some pictures there of a lion killing one of our year 9s, I think. No, that's a springbok. And obviously the jeeps there and the elephants, and I don't have to point out any more of that to you. Couple more things that I want to talk about before we do questions is, should I stop sharing? Yeah, no, I'll leave the screen up because it's quite nice to look at. So some of the FAQs, travel money always comes up, how much the children need. It's very difficult to say. Some children spend a lot more than others. They won't need much for food. I haven't looked at it exactly yet, but they won't need loads for food. They will want to buy you some presents to bring home for sure. Even in places like Soweto Township, there'll be incredible arts and culture places where they will want to bring stuff home for sure. It's very difficult to say. When we went to Barcelona in October, we had some children spend €500 and some spend 20, and it is kind of very much in between. But I will chat with Steve when we've really fleshed this out even more, because this does look thorough, but it is still the first draft. So there will be a few more things kind of tweaked with this. And when we're really happy with the draft, that's when I will send another email out and say, okay, if you really do want to sign up, these are the expectations. School insurance covers us on any of our trips that we do, so you shouldn't need any additional insurance. If you would like to, for peace of mind, you can, although having said that, I've had conversations before where if you have your own insurance, I think it can invalidate the school's insurance. But I'll check with Mr. Drawbridge about that and Mr. Telford, Mr. Gower. But you shouldn't need it at all. Accommodation in South Africa is amazing, simply because our pounds go a really, really, really long way. So the places that I stayed in last time would be considered 4-star hotels here. Not every place will be like that, but it's going to be nice. The food is fantastic. Like I say, our money goes a long way as well. So in terms of buying presents and food when we're out and about, I think from last time, although this will have changed, we worked on kind of a 0.4 to pound ratio. It was about half price, probably has gone up a bit more now. But that's what we worked to last time. That's all I've got to say. I'm sorry it was a lot of information. If anybody wants to jump in with questions, could you please put them in the chat and I'll just go through them now. Otherwise, it'll be a bit of chaos. That'd be really, really useful. Whilst questions are coming in, if anybody wants to whilst questions are coming in, Steve, if you want to add anything that I've missed, please go for it. And if not, I'll just keep checking the chat and I'll answer those.
I guess just to add a little bit more to the last couple of points you said, as you mentioned, that the school insurance has covered them. That will cover them for everything they're doing on the trip. So that will cover for playing cover as well as all of the excursions. Let's be honest, it's a sports tour. Injuries can happen. We use local agents on the ground out there to support and provide support to the staff when they're there. So if there was an injury, we would get the necessary, get them to the best hospital to cater for that injury. It might not necessarily be the nearest hospital, but the one that will deal with that type of injury, but also sort of to support with the insurance and the paperwork purposes. So our local guys on the ground support the school there. Just sort of, I guess, for the parents more than anything, if there was something that was a little bit more serious that needed an overnight stay in hospital, then a staff member would stay with that pupil. And we would arrange with our agents on the ground to get that staff member and that pupil back to the group as soon as we can do. Now, if that means that they've missed the internal flight up to Johannesburg, we will do all the arrangements and get them up there and get them back with the group as quick as we can. If there was anything more serious and a parent felt that they needed to get out there, then normally the insurance would deal with that, but we will support and we will guide and we can help get you out there if needed, if it was anything too serious. But touch wood, that's not needed. I guess just on the insurance, something to check with the school is whether personal items such as mobile phones are covered, and we can let you know about that nearer the time, because it's up to them if they take it. So that's something we'll check and we'll let you know. And just on the spending money, as Mr. Corbin O'Grady said, the value for money out there is incredible. It goes a long way. Now, it has been a little while since I've been there, but the last time I was there, I'd be going for dinner and I could get a fillet steak and a bottle of red wine for £10. So that sort of gives you an idea of how good the value is. Now, I'm not saying it's still quite as good, but it is still very good value out there. So once we've sort of thrashed out the meals that are included and everything, we'll be able to give you an idea of how many meals you do need to budget for. But if you budget what you would in this country, you're going to have way more than enough. They will not go short on food at all. And I guess the other thing to add to that is I live with 3 teenage boys. They eat every 3 hours, so 3 meals a day isn't sufficient for them. So if your boys are like that and they need more snacks, then just give them a little bit extra each day. There will be opportunities to stop at shops and buy snacks and drinks sort of throughout to keep them going through the day if they're grazers. But generally, sort of the itinerary plan will be sort of certainly 3 meals a day. If they're not included, there'll be a chance for them to go and buy something, whether it's in the shopping mall and they go to a food court or whatever it might be. So that'll sort of, it's, as I say, the value for money out there is fantastic. So we can give you a better idea nearer the time, but hopefully that sort of helps at this stage.
Okay, thank you. Right, I'm just going to go through some of the questions in the chat. Where are we? First one's reminders of the price. It will come in just under £3,000, which is clearly a lot of money. But like I said, last time we took a trip to South Africa 5-6 years ago, my school it was 3.5. So I think the price that we're going to quote at the moment, I'll need to look at what kit we want to get and everything, and whether, just need to consider things a little bit more. But the price I've been working towards for now is 2,990. That will fluctuate depending on how many people sign up. So if we were to get 60 people who want to come, the price may come down slightly, but I would rather tell you more than less at this stage and give you a nasty surprise. But at the moment, yeah, just under £3,000. Vaccinations required. Great question. I can't remember getting any before I went last time. Steve?
The guidance changes regularly. So as far as I'm aware at the minute, as long as your regular tetanus, etc., are up to date, you shouldn't need anything extra. Now, when you're out on the game drive, things like mosquito spray and stuff like that is highly recommended. But I would always, if you are signing up for the trip, we've got plenty of time before traveling next summer. Just check with your local GP. We're not doctors. We do the travel side of it. We go off the government guidance. But if you do have any concerns, and we can certainly send out the latest government guidance for you nearer the time, but do just check with your GP. But as I say, as far as I'm aware at the minute, as long as it's the tetanus and I think it's MMR are all up to date, then I think you should be okay.
Thanks for that. Is this trip for both boys and girls? Absolutely, yes. It's open to anybody who is in current year 9 up to current year 12, because it will be year 10 to 13 as of September, this September coming up. Right, number of places, Sonny, the number of places is completely up to how many people we get sign up. There will be a max on that, so we wouldn't take any more than 60, but I think we were working towards 50 at the moment with that quote. Obviously we're still a reasonably long way away, so I'll obviously be asking for deposits and sort of formal submissions of intent, or how reservations, I suppose is a better word. I'll be asking for them relatively soon, over the next few weeks, sort of thing. However, we quoted 60 places for the Barcelona trip in October. We've sold 70, just under 70, I think. So yeah, a little somewhere near 50, give or take. Is every journey done as a group, i.e. Robben Island, Soweto? Yes, it will be. Again, depending on how many people we have. Can we fit them all on one coach? Don't know. But yeah, we will be moving around as a group. How that works is it's not one group of 70 or 50 moving around as one unit the whole time. Teachers will be responsible for their own pods, as I like to call them. So that's what we've done on previous trips. Those teachers are the ones that will get you through airport security, look after your passports during then, because you would not imagine how many people leave their passports in Heathrow and then can't do anything else or whatever. So they'll be looking after you there, making sure you're on time. They'll also be the ones who are sort of leading your pod for the competitions and all of the awards and everything that we do. So yeah, when we're at Soweto or when we're at Robben Island, we will move in groups of 10 or give or take. So that will be that.
Can I just add to that the only from a fixtures perspective, because we are taking different sports, for us it's really important that we get the fixtures at the right level. So that may mean that a fixture could be played at a different venue. Now we'll certainly try and get them out of the same school if we can get the right levels, because it's always nice to go and support each other if we can, but the key is getting the fixtures right. So it may be that on an evening where we've got a fixture, the hockey goes to one place, football goes to another, and then they come back together back at the hotel later that evening. But certainly from an excursion perspective, they'll all be together as one.
Thank you. Right. Is the hockey for boys too? So this trip is sold as a boys football, girls hockey trip. So what that means is that there will not be crossover during fixtures. It's impossible to play mixed teams versus international teams. It doesn't work. So we won't be playing fixtures in mixed genders. what we've done in the past, so again, when we went to Barcelona and when previously when I went to Africa, I've mentioned loads of times, is we gave the opportunity to train sometimes where that was sore foot and we or was okay. And a lot of the time we played matches internally in the training sessions as well. But no, boys for this trip have to play football, girls have to play hockey. As you know, I'm a male who plays hockey. I'd love to open it up to do both, and the girls to play football. But it just doesn't work from a logistics point of view. And we kind of we do half, not very well. So no, not on this trip. It is single gender to when we complete. But opportunities to train. Is it a direct flight? Very unlikely it'll be a direct flight. Usually we'll stop somewhere on the way. It completely depends on flight prices. There are direct flights. If it lines up that it will be cheaper or near enough, then we would do that. But very unlikely. Usually they are hundreds of pounds more per flight. So I wouldn't expect a direct flight. It doesn't really make that much. Makes a little bit of difference in terms of time, but not that much.
At the minute,
sorry.
It's only British Airways that do fly direct, as you say. There are that direct option. But because they are the only ones, it gives them the monopoly that they can put those prices through the roof. So the general ones we would look at would be someone like an Etihad via Abu Dhabi or Emirates via Dubai. They're the most common ones. Qatar Airlines. There's a number of different airlines. We used KLM in the past. So all options. Because the cheapest isn't always the best, because you certainly with the indirect options, you can find that the cheapest option may have a longer layover. So we need to sort of look at the best options for us that work, that give it not too long a layover. But at the same time, you don't want the 30-minute layovers because then it's a mad rush through Dubai airport, for example. And if any of you have been to Dubai, you'll know how big it is. So we've got to allow sensible time for the group to get from one gate to the other.
Thank you for that. Are any of the components optional? Do they have to do everything? No, this trip is everything is everybody has to do everything. We're together as a group. That's part of the sort of ethos of it as well. Is that this is kind of, for want of a better word, team building as well as anything else. You believe me, you'll want to do everything when it's there. Like, this is an incredible trip. So yeah, please don't worry about that. Is there cash needed for Soweto or other places? Will cards suffice? I would have a mixture. Cash is always useful. Please do not store it all in the same place, because if you drop your bag somewhere, that is an absolute nightmare. Obviously, we're not going to be able to get that back. But obviously, slowly topping yourself up with cash is useful. I think from a personal kind of it's not me, but from some of the personal skills that you're going to develop when you're there is management of money as well. So can you learn to barter in a different currency? Can you properly look after yourself and your money? Can you budget? All of those things are really, really important. So I would lean towards definitely having some cash, because it will be helpful. But yeah, small notes usually, so it makes it a little bit easier. And then a card as well would be useful. Missed the start was the cost. Go on.
Sorry, just on the cards, they can take the normal bank cards as well, but nowadays with sort of the Monzo travel cards or things like that, they don't charge you for the exchange rate currencies, things like that. So, I mean, I've got a Monzo card and I take it with me everywhere I go. It's brilliant. If the parents have got it set up to their phone, they can always top it up if needs be, and they can keep an eye on it from home and just keep it topped up and add money if needed. So they can take bank cards. It's entirely up to you, but I think those travel cards work really well as well. So something to look at.
Great. And then only a couple more questions. Cost of the trip we've already been over, but working towards the £3,000 mark, hopefully just under. When is WisePay open? Not yet. A few more weeks. I'll send good notice of that though. Limited spots I've already covered. Talk about the hockey football split. I've already talked about that as well. So those questions are just repeats, so I won't carry on with those. If anybody has any more questions, can you put them in the chat now? And I'll address them whilst everyone's together. And if not, feel free to drop off. Steve and I will hang around for another 5 minutes or so. So yeah, please that's kind of the end. But yeah, thank you, and thank you for joining us. And I'm looking forward to hopefully spending a lot of time with you guys in South Africa.
Thank you very much. You can go and watch England in the cricket semi-final now if they wanted.
They're back on now.
Yeah.
Where's my phone? You're gonna get a game?
Yeah, I think the game will go. I think they've had their 20 overs, so
Oh wow, okay.
England are chasing 172. So
So yeah. Oh wow, awesome.
any questions from anybody left? A few still here.
Does it matter if you're not going to sixth form? Good question. I'll have a think about that. I would lean towards no, because we're taking year 13s who will also be leaving the school. So it shouldn't matter. You should be able to come. I'll just talk to Mr. Gower about that.
Where can the recording be found?
Yeah, I'll send that out. It'll be, I'll send a link out, and hopefully it's worked. I did see that come through as well, that it was cancelled, but it's still ticking away in the top left for me. How are you aiming to go? How many are you aiming? We're working to 50 plus or minus 10. Not including the staff. Okay. Fantastic. Well, I think that's probably enough. Anything more, just send me an email, and I can get back to you. All right. Thank you, everybody. Cheers.
Brilliant.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.